Welcome back to the Caffeinated Cruiser. My name is JD, and we are just a couple of days away from the 2025 MotoGP season officially starting. I am crazy excited about this. There's a ton of movement this year, lots of riders switching teams, lots of talent dispersed throughout the grid, and I cannot wait to see how this championship season finishes. Now, that being said, we're going to jump into my top 10 predictions for this year, and I'm going to put up the 2024 standings so that way we can compare and contrast and see who falls out of the top 10 and who maybe climbs in or climbs up. So that being said, let's jump right into it. In case you forgot, I'm going to go over the top 10 from 2024, starting with the lowest and going to the highest. So at number 10, we had Digia. At number 9, we had Franco Morbidelli. At 8, we had Alex Marquez. 7, Maverick Vinales. 6, Pedro Costa. 5, Brad Binder. 4th, Bastianini. 3rd, Marc Marquez. 2nd, Francesco Bagnaia. And at first, we had Jorge Martin. I'll put all those up with the bikes they were on in case you've forgotten. So coming in at number 10, I predict we are going to see Iogura and Trackhouse Aprilia. Now, I think Iogura is really talented. He's clearly been fast in testing, and he's looked a lot better than his teammate, Raul Fernandez. And I am not the biggest Raul Fernandez fan as it is. On top of that, Raul Fernandez has an injury, and I think Iogura is going to look really good. He's looked really comfortable and really fast with Trackhouse, and I'm excited to see if he can really move that program forward. And I'm excited to see all of the talent that Aprilia has brought in. So again, number 10, Iogura. At number 9, my prediction is Di Giannantonio, and I wanted to put him higher. I honestly am a big fan of his. I like the underdog story. I like how he had to fight to stay in MotoGP. I think he's talented, he's clearly fast, and I think he's an interesting rider. But that being said, there's just so much other talent on the grid, and there's so many people that I think will come in ahead of him that I mean, he's gonna have to do a lot. Now, he does potentially have the second best bike on the grid, so is there a chance he slides up? Absolutely, and I wouldn't be sad if he did. But right now, I'm going to say at number 9, we're going to put Digia. Jumping into number 8, this one really hit close to home for me. I am a huge KTM fan, and I love Brad Binder and Acosta, and I've owned a couple of KTMs. But I think this year, we're going to see Brad Binder maybe take a step back and come down to 8th. And that's my prediction, Brad Binder at number 8. And again, there's a lot of things that go into that. Obviously, KTM has had a lot of different difficulties with their finances. Apparently, it's not supposed to have any effect on their MotoGP program, but when your main parent company is potentially going under and going bankrupt, I don't know how that wouldn't affect something as big and as expensive as KTM. I'd love to see them be fighting top 3, top 4 for the championship, but this is my prediction right now, is Binder at number 8. At number 7, this one's probably very controversial, but I'm going to put in Alex Marquez. Alex Marquez has been on this steady upward growth through MotoGP. He's definitely been faster. If I remember correctly, he was the second best 2023 Ducati on the grid behind his brother, and he really was really fast through a lot of last year. He would be finishing one step ahead of where he did in 2024. And there is an argument that maybe we'll see another leap from him. Again, I'm putting him where he's at because he's on one of the best bikes on the grid, and he's shown this consistent growth, and he's staying with the same team. So Alex Marquez at number 7. At number 6, this one again hurts me a little bit. I love Acosta, and I think he's super talented. I think he really might be the best talent we've seen since Marc Marquez, and I want to see him make a huge step. Clearly, he was fast last year, and clearly he had the talent to fight at the front of several races, and I think if the KTM project had been more stable, maybe he could have actually done that. That being said, again, I think there's a lot of other talent on the grid that might just be a step ahead of him and maybe in more consistent programs. And again, KTM is just kind of all over the board right now. They haven't looked very good in testing, which isn't uncommon for them, to be fair. They a lot of times look kind of slow. They look like they're struggling, and then right as the season begins, they somehow find magic and they've got a competitive package. And I do hope that happens. I really, really want to see Acosta fight in that top 3 of the championship and really put pressure on those established stars. But given all the issues that KTM has, I'm going to put him right now at number 6. Jumping forward to number 5, I don't know that I honestly feel this good about this prediction. In fact, I might need to redo this list. But I've got Bezzecchi in at number 5. And now that you know what? Never mind. Scratch that. I'm going to flip this. Acosta, I'm going to put at number 5. Bezzecchi, I'm going to put at number 6. I had a really hard time figuring out this order. And again, it's just predictions. No races have begun yet, so who knows what'll happen. But I'm going to drop Bezzecchi down 1 spot and put Acosta up 1 spot. I'm going to give Acosta the nod because he is just a supreme talent. And that would still be an increase for Bezzecchi from a number 12 finishing spot in last year's championship, jumping all the way up to number 6. So that's still a lot of growth, and he's on a new bike that he hasn't ridden before. He does look fast, he does look strong on it, and it's a good sign for Aprilia. But I think I'm going to rearrange that and put Bezzecchi in at number 6, Acosta in at number 5. Spot number 4, I am going to go with Quartararo and Yamaha. Again, one of those guys that just is supremely talented, one of the best riders on the grid, and that is not negotiable at this point. He's had a really rough time with a bad bike, but it looks like Yamaha has maybe found a step forward, and I'm excited to see him potentially come back and start fighting for a championship again, or at least be in the mix and cause, some drama up at the front. I definitely still think we're going to see Ducati be the best bike on the grid, and then potentially Aprilia, but it looks like Yamaha may have jumped ahead of KTM, at least at this point through testing. So again, I'm putting in Quartararo at number 4, and I wouldn't be surprised if he really is trading places in that top 3 all season, if the bike is as good as it looks. In at number 3, I am going to give the nod to Jorge Martin. I really, really wanted to do something outlandish and put him in at number 1, because I think he's just so talented and he's so fun to watch, and I think he's going to have a ton of confidence this year. But he had that massive crash in testing, and he's had surgeries, and he's only had a little bit of time on the bike, and I think that's going to set him back a little bit. So again, for me, I'm going to put him in at number 3, but I really want him to fight in that even higher than that. I would love to see him come in runner-up or even defend his title. If he could actually go to Aprilia and win the title after taking the number 1 plate there, that would be just amazing. It would be so much drama. It would be maybe the best thing that could happen to this championship outside of Marc Marquez just being super dominant and winning again. I mean, I think it would be that big of news that Aprilia made that leap, and that, again, Jorge Martin was able to defend his title against guys like Bagnaia and Marquez, who are going to just be crazy, crazy aggressive and fast and on, again, more established bikes. So right now, I've got in Jorge Martin at number 3. At number 2, this was maybe the hardest position in this whole lineup to pick, and I am going to go with Pecco. I went back and forth a dozen times whether or not I should put Marquez or Pecco in at number 2, and I think you could flip the coin. It could be either of them. I think they both have a ton to fight for. They both have a ton of pride. Pecco coming in and trying to win back the title, win back the number 1 plate from Jorge Martin and Aprilia. Also trying to show up and show again that he is the guy on the grid on the factory Ducati, and that he is Ducati's guy. It's not Marc Marquez, it's no one else. It is Bagnaia. I think he's going to have a chip on his shoulder this year. I think he's going to be fast, and I think he's going to be hard to beat. But that being said, I think maybe Marc Marquez has more to fight for and more to go after. And again, I know this might be a little bit controversial, but I feel like Marquez is going to ride like a man possessed. And we've already seen just how talented he is. This will be his 2nd season on the Ducati. This will be a step forward into that 2024/25 bike. It's going to be better. It's going to be more refined. He's already looked good in testing. He seems like he's confident. And I still think even at this point, and even being a little bit older than some of these other guys, I still think he is the most talented rider on the grid. And again, he wants to be the all-time great. He wants to be the GOAT. He wants to have it to be undeniable that it's him and nobody else. And again, I think he's just going to ride like a man possessed, and I think that's a good thing. And I hope it leads to a lot of drama. So again, in at number 1, I'm going to put Marc Marquez. And if I'm wrong in this prediction, I wouldn't even be surprised, honestly. There's just so much talent on the grid. And again, the guy was sitting right next door to him, and Pecco could easily just have another dominant season where he wins, 10 or 11 races, because everybody else who was fighting up there and really competing with him is on a different bike that they haven't ridden before, including Marc Marquez. So again, for me, it could go any one of those directions, and I wouldn't really be surprised either way. I'm going to quick go into my biggest losers. These are the people that fell outside of the top 10 from last year. One, Franco Morbidelli. I think he just fell into the spot he was in last year's championship, which again had him coming in at number 9. He really had one or two good weekends. He didn't look that good. He didn't look that fast. He didn't look very comfortable with the bike. There's an argument to be made that he has been a fast rider in the past, and now he's going to have a second year on the same bike, so maybe we'll see a jump. But to me, he's maybe 1 or 2 seasons away from being out of the paddock entirely. I just think he hasn't really shown much at all in the last 3 or 4 seasons, and I don't really think that there's any reason to think he's going to do a whole lot better this year. Number 2 would be Maverick Vinales. I honestly think Maverick Vinales will win a race this year, but yet I still think he's going to be adjusting to a new bike. He has never been super consistent. He has never been able to put together a consistent season, and he's never been able to fight for a title. Obviously, he's really fast. That's why he keeps getting a seat, and that's why he keeps getting a factory bike. But that being said, I think he falls outside of the top 10 as well. And then the last person who I think this is really going to affect is Bastianini. He finished in 2024 at number 4, and right now I'm predicting he falls all the way out of the top 10. And I don't feel great about that. He's very fast, he's very talented, kind of like Maverick Vinales, but at the same time, I just don't know that he's going to be able to adjust to this bike. His preseason testing has been really poor. He clearly hasn't been confident. He said the bike doesn't work for him and his riding style. We've seen him take time to adjust to a new bike. We've seen him take time to adjust to going to a new team. So is this season going to be any different? I honestly don't know. So that being said, guys, that is my list. Please let me know in the comments below if you think I got any of those right. I'm sure I got a ton wrong, and I'm sure you're going to disagree with me. But let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know who you think is going to be in that top 10 list. And yeah, I'm hoping for an amazing season. I'm really excited that Aprilia has some big name talent in Martin and Bezzecchi. I'm really excited that Honda is looking like they've found something and they're looking a little bit better. I'm excited for Trackhouse Aprilia, that Iogura looks so good, and that, maybe that can bring something to the American team on the grid that has no American riders, but whatever. And Yamaha, again, Yamaha looks like they found something. Quadraro's looked good, Rinz's looked good. I think there's maybe a chance that something good is going to happen here for them. And I'd love to see it. They got 4 bikes this year. They've got Jack Miller and they've got Oliveira. Hopefully that helps them out, having those guys who just came from more competitive bikes. So again, let me know what I got wrong. Thanks so much for watching. Ride safe, keep 2 wheels down. Peace out.